AI is, well, it's everywhere, right? It's powering our apps, it's recommending our shows, and honestly, a lot of the time, it just feels like pure magic. But what if I told you that behind pretty much every single AI, there's a simple 5-step recipe? Today, we are going to pry open that black box and show you exactly how it all works.
And that right there is the big question, isn't it? How do you get from lines of code to a machine that, for all intents and purposes, seems to think? It sounds incredibly complex, but the answer really does lie in that simple recipe we just mentioned. So let's get into it.
You see, the secret isn't magic at all. It's a process. It's a recipe with 5 key steps that takes us all the way from raw information to an intelligent, useful answer. Let's walk through it together.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for the whole process. We start with the fuel, which is just data. Then that data goes to class, which is a training phase. This creates the brain, or what we call the AI model. And then we ask it a question, that's the input, to get an answer, which is the output. So think, fuel, class, brain, question, and answer. Let's start right at the beginning, with the fuel.
Everything, and I mean everything, in AI begins with data. It is the absolute fuel for the engine. And we're not talking about a little bit of data, we're talking about almost unimaginable amounts of it. You know, for an AI to learn how to recognize a face, for example, it needs to see millions upon millions of photos, with every possible angle, every expression, and every lighting condition you can think of.
And this is the golden rule of AI. It's so simple, but so crucial. You could have the most brilliant, sophisticated algorithm ever designed, but without data, it's just an empty shell. It's like a library with no books, or a high-performance engine with absolutely no fuel. Data is the foundation for everything that comes next.
So we've got our fuel, now it's time for school. During this training phase, the AI basically acts like a student. We feed it all that data and give it a task, like finding patterns. For example, to teach it to spot spam emails, we show it millions of emails and we tell it, this one's spam, this one's not. At first, it's going to make a ton of mistakes, but with every single one, it tweaks its own understanding and gets just a little bit better, a little bit smarter. So, after all that studying, all that trial and error, what do we actually have? Well, we have a graduate. This is the AI model, the brain, that's been created through all that training. You can think of it as this super complex set of rules or a mathematical blueprint that's been built from all the patterns it discovered in the data. This brain is now officially ready to be put to work.
And now comes the real test. We give our newly formed AI brain something it's never ever seen before. This is the input. It could be you uploading a photo or asking your phone for the weather or typing a question into a chatbot. You're basically asking that brain, hey, based on everything you've learned so far, what do you make of this?
And finally, we get the payoff. The AI takes your input, runs it through its trained model, its brain, and produces an output. This is the intelligent answer we've been working towards. It might be identifying your friend in a photo, giving you that weather forecast, or in a very common case like YouTube, recommending the next video it thinks you'll want to watch.
Okay, so theory is great and all, but let's make this really concrete. This 5-step recipe is actually happening hundreds, maybe thousands of times a day, right there in your pocket. So let's look at one of the most common examples out there.
Okay, think about YouTube. Step 1, the data. That's every single video you watch, you like, or even skip. Step 2, training. The AI sifts through all that and learns your interests, your patterns. Step 3, it builds a personalized recommendation model, a little brain, just for you. Step 4, the input, happens the very second you open the app. And Step 5, the output? Well, that's your homepage, filled with videos it predicts you're going to love. It's our 5-step recipe, working perfectly right behind the scenes.
All right, so this system can learn what we like and make predictions. You know, it sounds an awful lot like a human brain. But is it really thinking? Let's do a quick reality check.
This is a really important question. We throw around words like learn, think, and brain, but isn't AI actually thinking in the same way you and I are? Is there any real consciousness behind all those calculations?
The answer, at least for right now, is a very clear and simple no. And you know what? Understanding this difference is probably the most important part of truly getting what AI is and what it isn't.
Let's just break this down. On the left, you see what AI does brilliantly. It follows its instructions, its algorithms, and it is an absolute master at finding patterns in data to make decisions. But then, look over on the right. AI has no emotions. It has no self-awareness, no consciousness, and it completely lacks that fundamental thing we call common sense. It's an incredibly powerful pattern-matching machine, not a feeling, conscious being.
So, if it can't really think like us, then why is it causing this massive revolution? Why is this simple little recipe so powerful that it's changing literally every industry on the planet?
Well, because it has superpowers. It can process amounts of data that a human being couldn't even get through in 1,000 lifetimes. It works at lightning speed, 24/7, without ever getting tired. And, maybe most importantly, it's always learning and improving on its own. It's a tool that amplifies human effort on a massive, massive scale.
And with those powers, yet it's transforming our world. It's helping doctors diagnose diseases earlier, it's personalizing education for students, and it's detecting fraud to protect our finances. That simple 5-step recipe is the engine that's driving change in just about every field you can possibly imagine. So, as we start to wrap this up, what's the most important thing to walk away with? What's the one core idea you should really hang on to? It all comes back to this recipe. Data is the fuel. It goes through training to build a model, a brain. We give it an input to get an output. And the golden rule that connects every single step, the quality of the ingredients determines the final dish. Better data will always lead to better AI. It's that simple.
So now you know the recipe. It isn't magic, it's a process. And that leaves us with what is probably the most important question of all. Knowing what goes into AI and knowing what it's capable of, how do we make sure this incredibly powerful tool is used smartly, ethically, and responsibly? That's the conversation that we all need to be a part of. Thanks for joining me.